Coming up on today's episode of Technoid, the OnePlus Nord was revealed to the world yesterday, and today I'm going to break down the phone and those ridiculously looking OnePlus Buds, and I'll give you my honest opinion and really just lay it out there on the table on this device and those headphones. And also quickly, before we talk about the OnePlus Nord, I have a quick update on Samsung's RCS rollout, as it is starting to align the way that I predicted it. So to those of you that want an update, I got your update. All that on today's episode, so stay tuned. What's happening, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to Technoid. I hope you're all having an excellent day. I'm doing all right as usual. Welcome back, everybody. Now, today's episode is only going to be focused on two stories: the OnePlus Nord and its accessory, and a quick update on RCS. So I'm not going to bore you with this episode. I'm just going to get straight to the point, and I'm just going to get right to it. But guys, before we start the video, as always with all my videos, if you like the content, you like what I do, to new subscribers, please consider hitting that like button, and to new viewers, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss when I upload. And to returning subscribers, as always, thank you once again, and make sure you hit that like button and share. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get it going. So, before we talk about the OnePlus Nord, again, I have to update you on RCS. Now, a couple of months ago, or about a month or two ago, I made an update about how Samsung and Google announced a partnership. In that video, I made a prediction that I made a claim that they were going to roll it out in time for the August event. Well, a lot of you were a little bit skeptical on my claim, and a lot of people did not believe what I was saying. Well, I'm happy to report that the S9 of all phones, I don't understand why, but the entire S line of the S9 anyway, is getting an RCS rollout via software update. Something that I told you guys they were going to do. They were going to enable it through a software update so everybody gets it. They bypass the carriers. Now, there is a little twist in the story, as it is only in Germany as of now and other parts of Europe. However, though, the idea that Samsung is releasing this through the software updates, it is rumored to be in the July update, so we're going to have to wait and see what the American update brings. But this lines up with what I said, guys. They're doing this in time for the event. They're also doing this to just unlock RCS through the software. You don't have to wait for them to turn it on. You don't have to wait for your carrier. They will just update it through the app, and that's that. So I hope you guys have a little bit more faith when I talk about this stuff, because again, I called it like it was. I saw this happening, so I told you so. Now let's get to the OnePlus Nord. So I'm going to focus a little bit on the headphones, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the device. So let's get right to it. So they talked about the whole new OnePlus mid-range Nord. I don't know why everybody's really pushing that mid-range title, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, OnePlus has always made mid-ranges. They were just a lot more premium. They were a lot more flagship-like. They were just mid-ranges with flagship specs, and everyone could argue they were flagship killers, which is what they were known for, but I feel like the OnePlus 8 Pro was the flagship, I'm just saying. But taking a look at this phone, this thing really is the essential OnePlus, giving you everything that you would expect in a OnePlus device in terms of storage, in terms of specs, in terms of design, everything. Now, the phone looks relatively similar to the S10 in the front with the dual punch hole design, but it has a nice display. It has the in-display fingerprint scanner. On the back, you have a quad camera setup. I'll break down everything you need to know. The phone itself comes in a nice Nord blue color, which looks really, really sick. I kind of am a little jealous that they released this outside of the United States, but I have a feeling they're going to release this probably somewhere down the road. So taking a look at the specs breakdown, let's get to the real stuff, the things you want to hear. The screen will be a 20:9 aspect ratio. It will be 1080p OLED display. It's a 6.4-inch display with 90 Hz, so not 120, but 90 Hz is still fast regardless. I think that's just as good. The rear cameras are a wide angle, like I said before, a 48 megapixel ultra wide 8 megapixel lens. You also have a 2 megapixel macro camera and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. On the front, the selfie camera is a wide angle 32 megapixel with an ultra wide 8 megapixel camera. The processor, of course, is the 765G. It will have 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM. The storage is 128 to 256. The battery life is a little bit of a skeptical one. A lot more people were expecting better. It will be about 1,115 milliamp hours. It will be based off of Android 10 with Oxygen OS. And lastly, because it has 5G support, you can expect sub-6 and millimeter wave depending on your carrier if it ever gets to America. Now, in terms of biometrics, again, fingerprint sensor in display, and it does not support wireless charging, but it does have warp charging. So that's your basic summary of the phone, but specs on paper are just boring. They're just words. What do they actually mean when you use it? And it's quite simple. The device itself does look promising. Even though it is released in China, India, and other parts of the world, it will probably make its way to America, but in a different form. But I will say, taking a look at this phone, seeing it on display, this is really what made OnePlus. These kinds of phones. My only problem is that they're calling it mid-ranges. Yes, it is priced in the $450 price range. It is a lot cheaper. But I think you all forget that OnePlus were essentially making mid-range phones. They were never truly flagships until the 8 Pro, when they added wireless charging and true top-of-the-line flagship processors, flagship cameras, everything flagship. I know I sound a little crazy what I'm saying, but just think about it for a second. They were always known as the flagship killer. They had a phone with flagship interiors, but were priced like mid-ranges. They didn't have wireless charging, they probably didn't have a few things, but ultimately, they were just premium mid-ranges. They were a lot better than plastic backs. You had a glass back. They had a good camera setup for its price point. They had good audio. They had good screens. But they were ultimately not flagship performance. And I don't understand why people are making a big whoop just because they're now classifying this as a mid-range. Y'all should have been classifying these things from day one as mid-ranges. The only true flagship was the 8 Pro. And if you disagree with what I'm saying, hey, you don't have to agree, but the evidence is in the pudding, my friend. And if you want to defend them, hey, listen, that's your prerogative, and quite frankly, I don't care. But the OnePlus Nord is an interesting device. I do see there's a lot of potential there for OnePlus to make back its market share and definitely get back to its fan base. But as a phone itself, it is a very compelling mid-range because it has 5G, it has good specs, it has everything that you would want. Now, on the flip side, they were also debuting the OnePlus Buds. Now, you will be happy to know that these buds are available in the US. They will be coming out today, and if you get them, they are on price point for $79. Now, I have been very vocal of these headphones. I have said from day one I don't like these headphones, and I only said that because I didn't like the way they were looking. And looking at them in marketing and looking at the reviews and looking at it backs up my claims even more. These things are essentially AirPods designed for OnePlus phones. And what baffles me is that people were actually very excited for these things. Now listen, I do like the fact that they work perfectly with OnePlus phones. They are designed to work better with them, and that's really what you should go for if you're a OnePlus user. But the reviews and everybody talking about them have highlighted what I said. They're basically AirPod knockoffs. Now, AirPods, on the other hand, they have a one-size-fits-all. OnePlus, what did they do? They took the AirPod head, but made the stem a little bigger and a better touchpad. The driver is a 13.4 millimeter driver, or 13.4 meter, whatever the schematics are. However, it will support 3D audio, Dolby Atmos, and will have a nice deep bass. Sounds very reminiscent of AirPods. It will support warp charging. There is no wireless charging, but for $79, that's kind of expected. And the battery life gives you 30 hours with the charging case and 7 hours on the buds. So it does sound nice. I do like that it is exclusivity for OnePlus phones, although you can use them with other phones, but you're going to want to use them with OnePlus. I'm just really, really disappointed that they did this. And you could say, oh, you're reviewing them before you use them. Listen, That's my job. I look at something face first and I give an impression. This isn't a review. This is just my opinion. So if you don't like my opinion, you don't have to agree with it. But I'm just going to say it like it is. These things look ridiculous. And the reviews speak for themselves. So many reviews have come out about these headphones and said they're basically cheap AirPods. Now, I'm not trying to diss on OnePlus. I'm not trying to say that it's wrong and there's nothing bad about taking the design, but there's a difference. Apple knew what they were doing with the AirPods and perfected it for their phones. The W1 chip and everything. When you take their style and try to perfect it in your own rights, but you end up making a knockoff that looks like $3 brands you find at Bed Bath & Beyond, TJ Maxx, that's a problem. Now, I'm not too mad because it's only $80. It's not that expensive, and I've heard they do sound really well, so I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt with sound quality, but based off of first impressions and just looking at it, I'm very disappointed in OnePlus that they dropped the ball on the design, but who knows, maybe their audio quality makes up for it. And that's everything about the OnePlus Nord and the OnePlus Buds. So final thoughts, I am really excited for the OnePlus Nord. I really hope it does well, and I really hope it comes to America. As for the OnePlus Buds, don't expect me to review those things because I am not going to waste my time on that. And that's it for today's episode of Technoid. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, hit that dislike button. It helps circulate my videos as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and peace!